Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com with your hurricane outlook and discussion. Happy Memorial Day to you. Here we are on May the 25th, 2015. Hopefully you're having a great 3-day weekend and you're staying safe out there. Time to take a look at what's going on in the tropics. The East Pacific hurricane season underway, and I think it's not going to be too long now before we get a named storm there. So let's start with some climatology. You can see that during this 10-day time period, 21st through the 31st, which we are about halfway through, lots more activity here, especially off the coast of Central America and Mexico, and then in the Atlantic Basin, a few more areas showing up. This will start to fill in during the next 10-day time frame coming up June 1st through the 10th or so. We are about a week away from the start of the Atlantic hurricane season, and really this entire area through here generally favorable for development. Climatologically speaking, these are the favored areas. Not so much out in this region, at least until later in the hurricane season, and we'll have to wait and see how this year evolves with the El Nino and the forecast of really negative conditions in the deep tropics out this way. That's a story for another day. First, let's take a look at the sea surface temperature anomalies. You notice this very definitive El Nino signature in the equatorial Pacific. You also notice a couple of things. First, look at this, starting to warm up right off the coast of Africa. The cold stripe, if you will, getting shunted just a little bit and eroded. In the Gulf of Mexico and the western Atlantic, water temperatures still continue to run significantly above the long-term average. But this right here is interesting to me. Maybe it's just transitory and it'll change back, and the easterlies will scream across here and mix this all up and cool it off once again. But maybe that it's a sign that things are changing, maybe unexpectedly. We'll see. I don't want to put too much into it yet in terms of what it might mean, so we'll watch it on a weekly basis, see how that evolves. Boy, I tell you what though, this water through here running significantly above the long-term average could pose a problem if something were to develop. And of course that's the key. Will something develop? We just don't know. That's what we're here for, to discuss it every week and then every day as necessary. So this is what the subsurface looks like. This is the top of the ocean, and this is the subsurface. So you see that this is the eastern Pacific over here, this is the western Pacific, and we're at the surface of the ocean here, and then 450 meters deep by the bottom. So this is kind of like a CAT scan or a slice, and all of these colors in here represent departures from normal or anomalies, and you can clearly see all of this orange and then reds and then dark red represents significant positive anomalies in the subsurface, and that shows us the El Nino. Now over time this has been eroding and changing shape just a little bit, nothing substantial, but it's not growing. And you can clearly see that in the west, to its west, more cold water, and you don't have another one of these coming. And I've been talking about that for weeks, that if we had another large area, like this coming out of very deep reds and almost black color, and it was going to be moving across to reinforce this, then I would say, yeah, this El Nino could really have a big bite. But I think the jury is still out. I really do. We could still be in El Nino conditions, yes, but the strongest anomalies are here in the far eastern Pacific. Everything else is about a degree above the Celsius above the long-term average, and that translates very well to what we're seeing here on the map on the surface. This represents the area in the far eastern Pacific right here. That would be this, and then over in the central Pacific, eastern to central Pacific, this area right here shows up as this right in here. And so we're not seeing like 4 degrees Celsius above normal everywhere, some super never before seen El Nino. That's just not manifesting itself yet, and hopefully it won't, because we really don't know what would happen on a global scale if that happens, to be honest with you. So I'm encouraged to see a little bit of cold anomalies showing up, because we just don't need this massive radiator basically heating up in the biggest ocean body on the planet. It's warm enough as it is. So we'll keep watching this and see what's going on with it and how that affects the upcoming Pacific and Atlantic hurricane seasons through the interconnectedness of both regions of the globe. Actual sea surface temperatures now, this is the Gulf of Mexico, pretty much everywhere as warm as it needs to be for hurricane development, 26 degrees Celsius or higher. There's the loop current sticking up very prominently into the Gulf of Mexico. Parts of the west coast of Florida here, almost 29 to 30 degrees Celsius. So water temperature is definitely warm enough. Even off the east coast, Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, water temperatures in the low to mid 70s, about the same all the way down through Charleston and Beaufort, South Carolina, Hilton Head Island, St. Simon's Island, Georgia, and even down the east coast of Florida gets nice and warm. There's the Gulf Stream. So we have 26 degrees Celsius, or about 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Let me circle it just a little bit better. Don't want to exaggerate it. All the way up here, north of 36 degrees latitude. I mean, this area up here was frozen solid, or slush, just a few weeks ago, when you think about it. A couple months ago, that sounds better, right? A few weeks ago sounds like it was not too long ago. But, you know, February into March, this was frozen, or slushy, or whatever. As frozen as ocean water can be. Now, just a few hundred miles to its south, water temperature's 80 plus degrees. Unbelievable. It's just amazing, isn't it? So this is the more important aspect, though. What's the heat content like in the ocean? In other words, not just the surface, but how deep does that warm water extend? Well, notice there's just a couple of little blips showing up. One here, and then another one here off the east coast of Florida. That we're starting to increase the tropical cyclone heat potential just a little bit. This is like turning the burner on, and it's just starting to warm up. This is where the burner is red hot, and you can feel it all the way across the other side of the kitchen. And that is what we have down in this region, almost getting to the top of the scale, and it's not even June yet. Now this next chart I'm going to show you is this exact same graphic on this exact same day, 24th of May of last year. And I want you to notice this area right here. You ready? Here we go. Oh, how about that? That's something else. So here we are now. This is what it looked like last year. We are well ahead of where we normally are in the heat potential area. So here it is this year, here it is last year. You notice off the coast of the Carolinas there was no heat potential to speak of. The loop current in the Gulf, etc., was just barely starting to warm up, whereas this year it is substantially so. And that goes back to the anomaly pattern in here, that this is warmer than it should be, as is this. I'm telling you, it's just waiting for the right situation to come along, and we could have some big problems. Nothing to worry about in the Atlantic Basin, but in the eastern Pacific, the two-day outlook suggests that an area way, way, way southwest of the Baja could develop, but it's pretty low over even the next 5 days. And if we look at the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook itself, let's see if it'll let me look at the image. It won't, but that's fine. This is really not of any concern. This, though, could be a concern. And if we go and look at the, the text forecast talks about over the next 5 days, 60% chance, which is medium, and this is probably going to be the first named storm in the Pacific. And if we look at the MJO, well, I didn't load the MJO on this one. Well, we'll do that next time. But the GFS computer model for the Pacific, this is California, there's the Baja and the coast of Mexico, and this is 24 hours out. So this is valid tomorrow morning. You see a pretty good area of convection, and that is associated with the Madden-Julian oscillation becoming more favorable. The wet phase of that tropical upward motion pattern is now moving its way from the west to the east and coming into this region of the Western Hemisphere. Going out to 72 hours, there it is, well to the southwest of the coast of Mexico, more than likely the season's first named storm out that way, and then by day 5, it's a formidable hurricane in the model to the south and southwest of the Baja, not too far off the coast of Mexico, but you know, this is 5 days out. We'll see. The trough pattern has been, and the upper air pattern has been such that even in early June, it's possible that we could get some of these to develop and curve up towards Mexico. So this is going to be something that we need to watch. And so on Wednesday, I will do another update on this so that we can discuss it and make sure that our friends here along the Mexican coastline are aware of what's going on with this, and that'll get us closer to when this is going to develop, and the models will have a little bit better handle on it, etc. So watch out for that. The season's first named storm, more than likely going to go ahead and ramp up and be a hurricane. At least the models are sensing that in the eastern and southeastern Pacific. So you folks along the coast of Mexico, in Pacific Mexico, keep an eye on that. This is the time of year to do so. All right? That's it. At least the Atlantic Basin is quiet for now, but hurricane season officially begins June 1st, coming up in a week, and you never know. I mean, pretty much from here on out, conditions could become, all we need is a disturbance and the right upper level winds, because the water temperatures are there, and it'll just be a matter of, can something sustain itself? We are almost to that time of year. Have yourselves a great rest of your Memorial Day 2015. Thanks as always for tuning in to my discussion. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com, and I'll talk to you again on Wednesday.